This is the Sunday of Transfiguration. And our theme for the day is seeing the vision of God's glory. Since this is Transfiguration Sunday, the last Sunday in Epiphany, before we begin the season of Lent, we fix our vision of the glorious Christ in our minds and hearts. For God's blessings are promised to those who have the faith to catch the vision. It seems that to be kind of a general knowledge among the prophetic school of thought, at some point the prophet Elijah was going to be taken up into heaven. And Elisha, the prophet's understudy, became privy to this information. And so Elijah, as he's preparing to depart, tries to leave Elisha behind. But the young man refuses to leave his mentor's side. Finally, Elijah asks Elisha what he's seeking. And the young man replies that he would want to have a double portion of the prophetic power that has been given to Elijah. Elijah says it's not for him to give. But if Elisha becomes a witness to Elijah's departure, then his wish will be granted. From the second book of Kings, chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. Now when the Lord was about to take Elijah up to heaven by a whirlwind, Elijah and Elisha were on their way from Gilgal. Elijah said to Elisha, "Stay here, for the Lord has sent me as far as Bethel." But Elisha said, "As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So they went down to Bethel. The company of the prophets who were in Bethel came out to Elisha and said to him, "Do you know that today is the day the Lord will take your master away from you?" And he said, "Yes, I know. Keep silent." Elijah said to him, "Elisha, stay here, for the Lord has sent me to Jericho." But he said, "As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So they came to Jericho. The company of the prophets who were there at Jericho drew near to Elisha and said to him, "Do you know that today the Lord will take your master away from you?" And he answered, "Yes, I know. Be silent." Then Elijah said to him, "Stay here, for the Lord has sent me to the Jordan." But he said, "As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So the two of them went on. 50 men of the company of prophets also went and stood at some distance from them, as they were both standing by the Jordan. Then Elijah took his mantle, rolled it up, and struck the water. The water was parted to the one side and to the other, until the two men crossed on dry ground. When they had crossed, Elijah said to Elisha, "Tell me what I may do for you before I am taken from you." Elisha said, "Please let me inherit a double share of your spirit." He responded, "You have asked a hard thing. Yet, if you see me being taken from you, it will be granted to you. If not, it will not." As they continued walking and talking, a chariot of fire and horses of fire separated the two of them, and Elijah ascended in a whirlwind unto heaven. Elisha kept watching and crying out, "Father, Father, the chariots of Israel and its horsemen." But when he could no longer see him, he grasped his own clothes and tore them in two pieces. This is our first lesson. Our psalm for this morning is the first 6 verses of Psalm 50. Depending upon your relationship with your boss, and your performance on the job, if you're told that your boss wants to see you, that might either prompt you to exult because you're getting a raise or an award, or to shiver because you are about to be reprimanded or even discharged. I must say, I can share that feeling. Anytime I get a message that my principal wants to talk to me, or that the bishop is on the line, I have no reason to be concerned, but it's human nature to feel that way. So it is, the psalmist writes about the imminent arrival of God, an experience that's destined to produce trembling and apprehension. Yet at the same time, it's clear that our God is a God who loves us and who comes to draw us unto himself. Psalm 50, beginning at verse 1. The Mighty One, God the Lord, speaks and summons the earth from the rising of the sun to its setting. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, God shines forth. Our God comes and does not keep silence. Before him is a devouring fire and a mighty tempest all around him. He calls to the heavens above and to the earth, that he may judge his people. Gather to me my faithful ones, who made a covenant with me by sacrifice. The heavens declare his righteousness, for God himself is judge. And this is our psalm. Our New Testament lesson continues to be part of Paul's correspondence with the Christian church at Corinth. We know that there have been accusations against Paul, that his message was either obscure or hidden. And he admits in this portion this morning that his message is obscure for those who are perishing. Or maybe we should interpret that the other way around. They're perishing because they're unwilling to hear the message that God is proclaiming to them. The God of creation, who established light from the darkness, brings Christ's glory to shine among us, so that those who proclaim Christ in the world might be saved. From Paul's second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verses 3 through 6. St. Paul writes, "And even if our gospel is veiled, it is veiled to those who are perishing. In their case, the God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers, to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. For we do not proclaim ourselves. We proclaim Jesus Christ as Lord, and ourselves as your slaves for Jesus' sake. For it is the God who said, 'Let light shine out of darkness,' who has shone in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ." And this is our New Testament lesson. In our gospel for this morning, we have a story that appears in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. A story of Jesus taking his inner circle of disciples, Peter, James, and John, up to the top of Mount Tabor, where he is revealed in all his divine glory. In this Epiphany season, we have witnessed Jesus in his teachings, in his miracles, and in his actions. Now, we get to see him in his appearance. This is the Gospel according to Mark, the 9th chapter, beginning of the 2nd verse. Glory to you, O Lord. "6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John, and led them up a high mountain apart by themselves. and he was transfigured before them, and his clothes became dazzling white, such as no one on earth could bleach them. And there appeared to them Elijah and Moses, who were talking with Jesus. And Peter said to Jesus, "Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 dwellings, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He didn't know what to say, for they were terrified. Then a cloud overshadowed them, and from the cloud there came a voice, "This is my Son, the beloved. Listen to him." Suddenly, when they looked around, they saw no one with them, but only Jesus. As they were coming down the mountain, he ordered them to tell no one about what they had seen until after the Son of Man had risen from the dead. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.